Hi, everyone. Hope everyone is having a great Sunday so far. Meteorologist Brittany Van Voorhees here. Today is an interesting forecast day as we did have more rain yesterday than expected, which helped stabilize our atmosphere. We had rain overnight, but there is a trigger point here with the cold front coming later on today that I think will provide enough instability to see at least a small chance of strong storms. So let's get right into it. This morning, we did see rain and storms moving through the Charlotte area. Now, the storms were relatively lacking in terms of lightning strikes. We only saw a few, and those are especially south of the Charlotte area. But we have seen a lot of gloomy sky conditions. I mean, I'll tell you, every single place is seeing gloomy conditions if it's not actively raining. So dense cloud cover, patchy fog, things like that as we're kicking off this late morning here, just past 11 o'clock. Here's a live picture from our Anson County Louisville camera. I want to show you so far rainfall totals that have fallen since midnight across the region. We've had just over two-thirds, that is, of an inch of rain in Charlotte, 1.25 there for Hickory, 1.5 in Boone, about an inch or so in Salisbury, just under that in Lincolnton. So we have had some beneficial rainfall. Morganton about an inch as well. So that's some positive news, but more is coming. In fact, we'll likely see about an additional inch and a half for most of the area. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and not just the stream, but on air. This is beneficial rain, but you don't want a lot over a short period of time. So we will have to watch a few isolated spots for some minor flooding. And when I say minor flooding, I'm thinking about the roads, let's say, that aren't as well maintained, that you see ponding on the edges and you drive over and it's enough that it kind of shakes the car a little bit. I'm talking about things like that, that it just kind of makes you feel a little bit uneasy. I don't think we're talking about people having to like wade through waterways to get into their homes, which of course that is good news. You can kind of see the totals again, an additional inch and a half. This overall is beneficial. And the drought monitor that will come out on Thursday will include the rain that we've had so far today, as well as the rain that we had yesterday. So this should be reflected in that, which will be positive as we kind of look ahead to what is to come for at least the next few weeks as we wrap up 2023. It's very, very close to being over. Here's current WCNC Doppler radar. You can see that first round already has moved out. We had a few scattered showers still lingering. Those are starting to move out as well. Zooming in here so you can kind of see what's happening on the eastern edge of our area. If you don't have the WCNC Charlotte mobile app, you could always track this rain live with us. We have a few showers still on the eastern edge there of Richmond County there near Hoffman, as well as a few showers near Albemarle there in Stanley County. Some rain still lingering in Cabarrus County, just to the south and east of south and west, that is, of Concord, as well as some rain still in Rowan County. But it looks like the main line, I actually have a second radar signature here so I can see it a little bit better because I don't have the best eyesight. But you can see a main line kind of moving through southern Mecklenburg County and areas just east, kind of hugging 77 through York County and shifting there off to the south and east. This is not the line that's expected to produce severe weather, but it is producing some gusty winds at times. I have seen a few National Weather Service reports of some 30s, some 40s, but earlier this morning, I was watching a few signatures of the same 30s, 40s, and I even had some Chesterfield County reports there of some radar indication of 50s and even close to 60. So the winds are certainly packing a punch in these showers, even though they're non-thunderstorm winds. So be mindful of that. If you haven't already brought inside some of those decorations you really care about, and if they were, let's say, shaking in the wind earlier, and you have a lull in the rain, and you're thinking, I might want to bring that inside. It's really precious to me. Now is the time to do so. We do still have that front situated off to the west, and that is going to be rocking and rolling through the metro by the second half of today. And it's the front that actually drives the potential severe weather risk. Good morning, Mark. I would agree. It's a lovely day to stay in and watch some football. So see all of this moisture down to our south and west. That's going to be shifting up to the north and east. So it's that swath of moisture that we have to watch shifting northeastward as that front lifts as well. That's what's going to produce that risk for some isolated strong storms and even a quick spin up not out of the question. Good morning, Kels, my best friend. And so that's kind of what we're watching again this morning and into the early afternoon. So far, I really, really liked the latest short range HRRR. It's one that we like to use a lot, and I know Brad used it in his weather vlog. And what it has shown is kind of the 1, 2 o'clock time frame as that starting line. I'll show you that here in a second. Still, though, wind damage remains the primary risk. This is going to be the severe wind risk as well as the non-thunderstorm wind risk, 60 mph plus, or those non-thunderstorm winds at about 30 to 40. I say this all the time, and we use that goofy graphic that I absolutely love, but that's enough that the trash can is not just tipped over, but over in your neighbor's yard. So it's not, all the way down the street, but I mean, it's the holidays. I mean, people have their Christmas decorations out, they have the blow ups. If you have something precious to you outside, it's on your patio, something like that. I don't know, a flag that you love, it's your favorite college team, things like that. I know my dad would be devastated if his Auburn flag blew away. Just bring it inside, make sure it stays safe. You might get lucky and it's still there, but hey, better to be safe than sorry. Um, Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. Okay, we're good. Low risk of flooding, we just talked about that. And then the lightning risk, I wouldn't say is low necessarily. It's just that we don't have a lot of instability because of the lack of sunshine, which lowers our severe risk, but it often also lowers the risk of a lot of lightning strikes. So there will be some within the storms, but it's not going to be like the summertime storms where it's literally thousands of lightning strikes per hour. Now, the overall risk of severe weather still remains low across the Charlotte area. But remember, we talked about yesterday, if you were on the stream, how the eastern half of the Carolinas, so the coastal North Carolina and South Carolina had that higher risk of a spin up, higher risk of damaging winds. That, of course, has been reflected in the update from the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center. You can see that shaded in medium. Again, we're still under a low. And there were a few spots shaved off even from what they had this morning. So the mountains weren't included, but the foothills were. Now it's kind of slimmed down. And I would expect that to be slimmed down even a little bit more so as we head throughout the day. What happens is the NWS will kind of slim these down as the atmosphere starts to stabilize. And from some of that rain we had earlier this morning, it did help stabilize a little bit. So again, the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock time frame is I think the time we'll kind of start to ramp these storms back up. We'll see pockets of heavy rain, some lightning. And once these storms kind of pass the 77 corridor, they're entering an area that hasn't seen as much storm activity. Now, the areas east of 77 that are included in our DMA, our viewing area, so Anson County, Union County, things like that, they have seen rain. It's just how stable is the atmosphere? Will the storms be able to rotate? I still think areas east of us have a higher chance, but there's still enough instability, enough fuel that I do want us to be cautiously optimistic that areas east of 77 could still see some of those, again, gusty winds, and I want to watch for a little bit of that rotation. But notice here, as we take a closer look at Futurecast, as you see those storms shift eastward, that's certainly where the higher risk of heavier rain, those little spins. Notice this. Look at 7 o'clock. See over toward the Raleigh area. Do you see that little bit of spin in some of those storms? That's the signature we're going to be watching. And that's just something that we just don't see the support for here in the Charlotte area, which is a good thing because we don't want that. But that doesn't mean we want them to see it either. So if you have friends or family that are kind of over in that area, over on the eastern half of the Carolinas, make sure that they're aware too that there is that slightly higher risk of severe storms today. Now, something you'll also start to notice is as we kind of shift out that severe weather risk and the rain becomes more consistent this evening, notice what else happens up in the mountains. We kind of shift from a severe risk to an opportunity for snow for Ashwaubenon and Avery counties. We get that cold air coming in with that northwesterly flow, and as it does, quick bursts of snow will allow for the potential for snowfall accumulation of about 1 to 3 inches, it looks like, for most areas at the highest elevations. There could be a few isolated totals a little bit higher, and some of our models are indicating this as well. But snowfall forecasts are inherently really difficult to forecast because, of course, it depends how much cold air, how much moisture at the exact same time. But something Brad was noting too in his vlog, and I saw some support for this as well, depending on exactly when the cold air kind of meets the rain, if the moisture is lingering long enough, there could be a few wet snowflakes lingering for some of our northern communities. So northern Alexander County, northern Iredell, northern Rowan County as well. So that's something that we will have to watch for very early Monday morning. So like right past midnight before finally that's all out of here by about Monday, 3, 4, 5 o'clock, once people are kind of waking up and getting ready for their day. Now, because of the snow potential, which of course we've been talking about for a few days now, there is officially a winter weather advisories, a winter weather advisory that has been issued for Ashwaubenon and Avery County. Now, I expanded this from 6 p.m. to 1 p.m. because the timing is slightly different because Ash and Watauga are in a different National Weather Office, no, National Weather Center office than Avery County, but we're just going to say Sunday afternoon to about midday on Monday. And again, this is for the winter weather advisory for the snowfall accumulation. Also, the fact that the winds are still going to be gusty. We talked about that a little bit with the severe storm warnings. Still gusty winds even once that frontal boundary pushes through, and that could allow for some scattered power outages. So you'll want to be mindful of that if you're either in the mountains or maybe you're visiting and maybe you're heading home or you're heading up there on Monday morning. And a third thing, which we don't talk about as much, I think especially at the beginning of the season, because by the middle and end, we talked about it so much that it's kind of become a recurring theme. But even if the snow has fallen and it's melted, or even if you're in an area in the mountains that didn't see any accumulation, we've seen rain today. We're going to see rain again later on this afternoon. We also had rain yesterday. The ground is very wet. It's going to get very cold. So, refreeze, black ice. We know that black ice is that thin layer of ice. It's really hard to see because, of course, the ground and the roadways, things like that, are often a darker gray, a black, things like that. And when that happens, it's just hard to see. It's easier to hydroplane. It's much easier to do that also on those mountain roads. I was in Beach Mountain 2 weeks ago. It can just be a little bit harder to drive there too if you're not used to doing so. So just please be mindful of that. Be careful. We don't want anything bad to happen to you. And something else to note too is that there could be some patchy fog as well because of how wet the ground will be and because of the lingering snowfall and things like that. So just be mindful of that. Give yourself a few extra minutes, and even better if you can work from home and wait till kind of things have passed, that would be even better. And again, that winter weather advisory goes until about 1 p.m. on Monday. Snowfall accumulation, again, the National Weather Service official winter weather advisory is in effect for 1 to 3 inches, but we have had models hinting at totals even a little bit higher than that. So it'll be kind of fun to see some of those pictures for Monday morning. If you have pictures, you have videos, and you can safely do so, we'd love to see them. Please send them to us. You can do so. You can actually email weather@wcnc.com, and all of our meteorologists will get that. Those pictures and videos. You can use the Near Me function in our WCNC Charlotte mobile app. You can send them to us individually on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, over email. Y'all know if you followed myself, Brad, Larry, Chris, KJ for years, it's really easy to do so. It's really easy to contact us too because the internet is a thing. So really exciting to see that. And of course, I know that people who are visiting up there will be excited to see that as well. We just want folks who are traveling in and out Monday morning to make sure they're staying safe. But yes, that'll be mainly an accumulation thing. And the snow actually really could start to switch over as early as 4 or 5 o'clock. But I think the main switch over time frame is probably 7 to about the early evening. And then after that, things do start to clear out pretty quickly. As we look at your Guy Roofing 7-day forecast, of course, the winds do stay a little bit breezy still. I've had this on the 7-day into Monday. Then eventually by Monday afternoon, we're colder. The cold air really starts to settle in. Mostly sunny. So the sun's coming out, yay. However, it's going to be chilly. A high of only 50. The coldest night it looks like this week will likely be either Tuesday morning or again on Friday morning, just because we have Tuesday morning, second night after a cold front is normally the coldest. But then we have a secondary system moving in on Wednesday. It'll be pretty dry. However, once that passes through, it brings us the colder air again on Friday. So that's why we see a little bit more cloud cover on Wednesday and then some colder air mixing in again. And I think I did mention this in the stream yesterday, but the reason why we have the menorah again on Friday is we normally, for the 7-day forecast, to not clutter things, we like to put it on first and last day of Hanukkah for those who do celebrate. So hopefully you are having a good time doing that. Now, eventually toward the latter half of next weekend and into the early half of next week, it does look like we have some small hints of a little bit of rain, but models are a bit split on that right now. However, we do still need it, but I think today's rainfall will certainly help with the drought situation right now. I'm going to do something a little bit unconventional, and I'm actually going to go back to the beginning of our stream just to show you guys one last look at radar before we go. So one last quick look at radar. Again, right now we are seeing some more rain moving through portions of the central portion of Charlotte. Most of it's kind of moving just east of the city. So starting to move toward the Mint Hill, Matthews area, toward Weddington, Van Wyck, just to the south and east of the Queen City. But we will have multiple rounds of additional showers and even a few thunderstorms moving in by the second half of the day. So while it's not going to be a significant risk for severe weather. I still encourage folks to stay weather aware really anytime we have thunderstorms, but especially because it's a little bit abnormal to see a trend and a pattern like this in December standards. And of course, our thoughts and prayers are always with people who are affected by severe weather, which this same storm system did unfortunately move through parts of Tennessee last night, and there were multiple people killed in the Nashville and Clarksville, Tennessee area. So it's just very, very, sometimes it's unavoidable, but very important to always remember that the weather can be extremely, extremely difficult to forecast, difficult to predict, and folks are always encouraged here in the Carolinas to stay weather aware as we want you to stay safe. I hope everyone has a blessed rest of your Sunday, whatever you're doing, going to church, watching football. You do so safely. Stay inside, get some stuff done, take a nap, read a book, enjoy the rest of your day, and keep those families and friends in your thoughts and prayers. Have a great rest of the day, everybody, and we will see you back here throughout the week, of course, on WCNC Charlotte, and we'll see you back here on Wake Up Charlotte weekend next weekend, and Caitlin will be back. So we'll have the team back together. Have a great day.